Mecole Hardman that he has been traded back to the Kansas City Chiefs.
So practice the best way I can and show my ability the best way I can. So,
He was a weapon and the Chiefs need one at that. Congrats to Mecole.
This year's NFL season has been very odd to say the least, but if there's one team that's been a little shocking or unusual, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. And I feel like today they fixed that officially. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. Now that we get all that out of the way, work! Ladies and gentlemen, every time PrizePicks has done this, it's practically been free money for us. For the opening weeks of the NFL season, we've had a lot of success on PrizePicks. I've been showing you guys my picks on Instagram, and I post my picks there for free consistently at The Flight Mike. And typically, you need to at least make 2 correct picks in order to make money. But in this case, PrizePicks is giving us a free Steph Curry square. Steph Curry only needs 1 point in order for his square to convert. So we just need to get 1 pick right at minimum to make money here. So if you're an NFL fan, I'm looking at Tyreek Hill scoring a touchdown versus the Philadelphia Eagles. And if you're an NBA fan, I'm looking at Michael Porter Jr. to grab more than 5.5 rebounds. Make sure you use my promo code Mikerophone to get a $100 deposit match when you sign up at PrizePicks. This is easily my favorite promo of the year. We've had a lot of success with it in the past. I'm going to show you additional picks on my Instagram story. And thank you, PrizePicks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? The Kansas City Chiefs currently have a 5-1 record, and they're performing really well. But there's one thing that has been a little odd about this offense so far, and I think it's best exemplified by the game that they had versus the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos have the worst overall defense in the entire NFL. This is a team that had 35 points scored against them by the Washington Commanders, 70 points scored against them by the Miami Dolphins, 28 points scored against them by the Chicago Bears, and 31 points scored against them by the New York Jets and Zach Wilson. But when the Chiefs faced off against them, they were only able to score 19. I don't want to say that the Chiefs offense is terrible, but as a guy that's definitely a huge Patrick Mahomes fan, something has been off about this offense. And look, guys, if you look at Patrick Mahomes' stats so far, it'll be very difficult to pinpoint this because this man's an absolute machine. He still has a 68% completion percentage. He's thrown for over 1,500 yards. Yeah, he's thrown 5 interceptions, and yeah, he's thrown for 11 TDs so far. And yeah, I guess that's a little bit high for his typical amount of interceptions, but he is currently averaging 265.5 yards per game. And I guess I just have crazy expectations because it's Patrick Mahomes, not to sound like Chris Collinsworth glucking Patrick Mahomes here.
That was a heck of a play by Mahomes right there.
But I personally expect more prolific games out of Mahomes. One theory is Eric Bieniemy was way more crucial to this Kansas City Chiefs offense than we give him credit for. And so far, he's doing remarkable things with Sam Howell and the Washington Commanders offense, believe it or not. My next theory is Matt Nagy may have just been that much of a downgrade at the offensive coordinator position to the point where, well, the Kansas City Chiefs offense isn't even close to what it used to be. And finally, and what is actually the truth after doing a lot of digging, the real reason is that the Kansas City Chiefs offense is completely different than what we're used to, meaning that they don't really rely on Patrick Mahomes' magic as much as they did in years past. They're more dependent on their running game and Isaiah Pacheco, and there's a huge reason for that. You see, in the 2022 offseason, the Kansas City Chiefs had a huge decision to make. They wanted to extend Tyreek Hill, but as a result of the Davante Adams trade and the new extension Davante Adams got, Tyreek Hill's demands increased significantly, and he went from deciding that he wanted to stay with the Kansas City Chiefs to wanting to play for the Miami Dolphins and being the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. As a result, the Chiefs had to trade Tyreek Hill to the Miami Dolphins for a 2022 first round pick, a second round pick, a fourth round pick, a fourth round pick, and a sixth round pick in 2023. Hill would get what he wanted. He wanted a 4-year, $120 million contract extension with 72.2 guaranteed, and the Kansas City Chiefs would embark on a brand new chapter. Now, looking back at this trade, it was a huge win for both sides. There's no way you could pay Tyreek Hill the amount that he wanted and still be competitive if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. And meanwhile, Tyreek Hill went to the Miami Dolphins and established a brand new identity for that team. I mean, I don't think Mike McDaniel would exclusively start looking for the fastest players on earth for his Miami Dolphins team if you didn't have the fastest player in the NFL on your team to begin with. And to be honest, just the product of the Miami Dolphins and just seeing how this team's coming together is so fun to watch. But I don't think the Chiefs were absolute losers in this case either. They were able to use that pick to move up to select Trent McDuffie in the 2022 NFL draft, who statistically speaking currently is the top cornerback in the NFL right now, which I know, crazy. They placed a huge emphasis on their defense and they embarked on a brand new journey to find the next Tyreek Hill. I mean, the game plan was very simple. You don't have Tyreek Hill anymore, who's a very fast wide receiver and an incredible route runner, but let's just try to get a bunch of fast wide receivers on this team and see how it works out. And maybe Patrick Mahomes could replicate the same magic with them based off of chemistry alone. So the Chiefs would go into the 2022 offseason and would sign Juju Smith-Schuster to a prove-it deal just as some sort of insurance piece of just having your typical possession wide receiver. And then they would throw darts at the dartboard, signing speedy wide receivers like Marquez Valdes-Scantling, drafting Sky Moore, trading for Kadarius Toney in the middle of the season. And you pair that with Mecole Hardman, and the philosophy was one of these individuals out of these four wide receivers will emerge into Patrick Mahomes' brand new #1 wide receiver. But in 2022, the absolute opposite thing would occur. Patrick Mahomes would spread the ball around and the Chiefs would win a Super Bowl, which is probably the most important thing here. And going into the 2023 season, they continued throwing darts at the dartboard, drafting Rashee Rice in this instance, really investing in Justin Ross's development, and letting Mecole Hardman walk free agency to the New York Jets. Now, when Mecole Hardman joined the New York Jets to begin with, I thought it was a little peculiar because the New York Jets already had way too much depth at the wide receiver position. You have to bear in mind, at the time, this was a team that already had Corey Davis, Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, and then Mecole Hardman said, hey, I'm going to sign with you guys too. Now, this was before Corey Davis would retire. This was before Elijah Moore would get traded to the Browns. I just thought it was a very peculiar decision because typically you would leave your existing team for a greater role somewhere else. In this particular instance, I think we could all agree that there was zero chance at all whatsoever that Mecole Hardman emerges as wide receiver 1, 2, or 3 for the New York Jets. I mean, in my head, I would think that that's Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb isn't really a full-time receiver, so I don't really know. Maybe you rotate that wide receiver 3 as the slot option? I'm not necessarily sure what Mecole Hardman was hoping to do here. So where we stand right now is the Kansas City Chiefs definitely need some help in the wide receiver room. Now, Mecole Hardman probably felt like he was underutilized in 2022 because that was supposed to be his big breakout season, because in the 2021 season, when Tyreek Hill was still there, he had almost 700 yards receiving on the year in the 8 games that he started. Last year, he didn't really play as much. He started in only 5 games and he only brought in 300 receiving yards and 4 TDs. This year, with the New York Jets, he's only made 1 reception. So I'm sure you know what's coming next because it's the only thing that makes sense. The New York Jets have agreed on a trade with the Kansas City Chiefs for Mecole Hardman. Now, all this is the Jets are sending Mecole Hardman and a 2025 7th round pick to the Chiefs for a 2025 6th round pick. So I think this is just what makes the most sense here. The Chiefs get back a familiar presence in the locker room. Patrick Mahomes gets back someone that he definitely has chemistry with. And I don't know, man, maybe this is the scenario Mecole needs to really break out and become the wide receiver that the Chiefs were hoping that he would be when they selected him in the 2nd round of the 2019 NFL draft. I think the overall arching take here is the Chiefs found a diamond in Tyreek Hill. I mean, I will admit, I was one of those individuals that thought, oh, Tyreek Hill fast, Patrick Mahomes good. You just get another guy that's fast, pair him with Patrick Mahomes, and hopefully through Patrick Mahomes' brilliant football IQ, Andy Reid's crazy play concepts, that wide receiver would take the opportunity and at least be maybe 60% as prolific as Tyreek Hill. And I was wrong. I mean, the Chiefs are trying. They're cycling through speedy wide receiver after speedy wide receiver after speedy wide receiver, and they just can't find someone that even comes close to that type of production. The thing is, I'm not saying that the Chiefs made a mistake trading Tyreek Hill because they really didn't have a choice in that particular instance. But I am going to say that they're struggling to find Patrick Mahomes, that guy that he could lean on offensively in the passing game. The incredible part about this is they still are one of the top offenses in the entire NFL. They're just picking up their yardage a little bit differently than in years past, and Patrick Mahomes isn't averaging as many passing yards per game. Hopefully this changes things. At the end of the day, this is a move that doesn't hurt anyone. I mean, all parties improve here as a result of it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think this is what Patrick Mahomes needs to? Do you think this is what the Kansas City Chiefs need to improve their offense? I'd like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.